Hey, Mario Gonzalez here, broker owner, Navy to Navy Homes, with another property management tip for you about advance rent, tenants paying or wanting to pay rent up in front. May seem like a great idea, may not. Hang out to the end of this video and we will show you why it may not be a great idea, and also the warning signs to look for both at the beginning and during the tenancy to show you that this is really going south. So hang in there. Hey, Mario Gonzalez back with you, talking about that awesome idea of taking advance rent up front. Now, while I'm going to talk to you about some of the risks at the end, I'll also talk to you about reasons why. But first, I want to talk to you about some stipulations. If you are going to accept advance rent, here in Florida, there are some specific stipulations. The first and foremost is you have to hold that money in an escrow account. So it is not you as the landlord, it's not your money, it's not the owner's money, it's not the property management company's money, it is still the tenant's money, but they are giving it to you. So you have to hold that appropriately in an escrow account. Now, some of the questions we'll ask, hey, does it have to be a non-interest bearing account? No, not necessarily, but if you are going to have an interest bearing account, there's additional, we'll just say, restrictions on that. Now, the second piece is, in Florida, it can only be used for rent. So this is not an additional security deposit. If they break the lease, you can't hang on to that money the way that most leases are written here. So it is the advance rent, they gave it to you for the purpose of rent, and you must give that back. Why would you give that back? Well, for any reason, if they didn't execute the full term of the lease, okay? They paid you advance rent, they weren't there. You may be able to keep the security deposit, you may be able to do some things for damages or at least a month that they're in there, but if they didn't occupy the home for 1, 2, 3 months, you're gonna have to give that rent back. That's gonna be a sting to many folks when they do that. Otherwise, you open yourself up for litigation unless you have changed your lease to really include the stipulation and put it in there as a security deposit for the duration of the lease. But you need to really consult some legal counsel on that as to how to do that. The second piece is, so let's just talk about more reasons they would break the lease. Any reason, a divorce, a job change, a military relocation, you name it, whatever reason they would have to break the lease, again, you may have to give that money back or you're opening yourself up to litigation. Now, another thing that may come in there sideways, if something happens significantly to the tenant, if the tenant ends up filing for bankruptcy, they may be able to pull that money back from you and say, no, we need these funds. They pay them to you, but you're gonna have to give them now back to the bankruptcy attorney that's handling this whole thing. They may use that as funds. If not, you're gonna be litigated by yet another attorney. That's gonna hurt. So let's go back and ask why. Why would you accept a full month's rent or a full year's rent in advance? Well, it seems easy, it certainly does. But you're bringing on additional risks to you, additional security deposit or escrow rules that you are also going to have to do, different accounting procedures that you're going to have to put in place for this. You're also putting in some additional terms that you may have to modify your lease, etc. So there's definitely going to be some more work on your end. Now, from a tenant standpoint, why would they give this? You'll hear all sorts of excuses. Sometimes they're real, sometimes they're not. We've heard them all. We've heard, I got a huge inheritance. I got furloughed from my last job and they paid me a severance. I got a settlement through a divorce. I just got my tax return back. We just got this whole thing. You name it, we have heard a bunch of it. Oftentimes, it's also combined with like this negotiation to get rent turned down. Hey, I'll rent for 1, 2, 3 year lease if you'll bring my rent down and I'll pay this whole sum up front. Wow, that sounds enticing, but it can really go bad. Now, up front, let me talk about the last part here, is sort of some of the other warning signs that you get that this could be really bad up front. If there's that urgency to move in quickly, they want you to make this decision and they're trying to entice you monetarily. Hey, I can pay the full year, but I need to move in this weekend. I know I'm just now putting my application in. Well, what are you running from? If you have all this money, if you have these type of things, what situation are you moving so quickly? Do you have an eviction that's going on right now? Do you have some sort of litigation? Do you have some sort of things going on in the courts that hasn't hit your record yet? And you're trying to get all this moving quickly before it impacts you, before we can see it as a property management company or a background screening search can see it, maybe you may see additional warning flags. If their story changes in the application process, they say one thing, they don't see another thing. You do the background and there's something not necessarily looking up. You look at their past residential history where they've rented with another property manager and things aren't lining up there. Any type of small flags that line up with this, it's really a huge warning flag to you. Now, while they're in the home, you may have accepted 12 months rent. Now they're in the home. Well, what are some warning signs there? Well, first and foremost, if you're not doing routine inspections, you're cutting your own throat. So you need to be doing routine inspections where someone is going inside that home and taking a look. Because I will tell you this, there are plenty of instances, not just in Florida, but throughout the nation, where even professional property managers have done this and things have gone sideways. It sounds something like this. It could even be in a gated community. The HOA was never called. You never got a notice from the HOA. These were perfect tenants. They never left their garbage can out late. They never parked funny in the street. They never let their grass grow too high. They were perfect. Oh, guess what else they never did? They never called you for a maintenance request, and you never went in and inspected. Until something bad happens, the news shows up or the police show up and you realize it's a grow house. They have completely remodified the garage or the back room, some cases, literally an entire house to, grow marijuana or cook meth out of the garage, you name it. These things can happen out there. So you want to be cautious up front if there's any other warning signs. If you do accept the money inside, you want to be cautious. And also, you really want to do your work, and if things aren't lining up on multiple different facets of this, in the background, etc., just be cautious of that and just, hey, no, we want to take it normal if you accept the tenant at all. So we hope this is helpful. If it is, please give us a like down there, subscribe. We'll get some more information to you every time we put out an educational video. You can visit us here on YouTube in the channels, Facebook, you name it, wherever we can to get this information to you repeatedly. Certainly appreciate it. Good luck out there in all of your landlord endeavors. And if we can ever answer any questions, feel free to reach out to us directly. Thanks so much.